I never left the world of Dune. In fact, I think Denis thought I was quite mad because I kept writing after we finished the movie.
6 months after Dune released, Hans was still composing, was still scoring the movie. I was like, sometimes receiving music and say, Hans, the movie's in theater right now and you're still sending me music. He said, yeah, but it's not, you understand, I want you to be inspired for part 2. I don't think Hans really stopped.
I knew the story, I knew the book, I knew what was coming our way. And it felt important to carry on writing when we were still in the same frame of mind. Had we not stood outside Warner, and had you not said to me, "You ever heard of a book called Dune?" Everything would be different. We did pretty well on the last one. It's got us an Oscar, you know. Pretty good, and we were weird. So now I want to go and take everything that we're doing and just, you know, go wider, go weirder.
Hans Zimmer brought to the first one different colors, different tunes that will take you immediately to an emotional state or to a frantic state.
It's a film movie.
When I first read the script, I put on his soundtrack from the first film because it immerses you in it.
He had to go deeper into the world of the Harkonnens. I wanted him to compose music for Fedrota, for the Harkonnen world, for the Emperor as well. He had those two new bubble of music to create universe.
I wanted to do different sonic landscapes. The Harkonnen world is industrial. You're having dinner in a steel foundry. The Fremen world, I want to have the song sung by the wind across the desert. Beauty and simplicity and natural sounds. A lot of wood, a lot of sand actually is in their score in a way.
More importantly, I wanted him to write something unforgettable for Shani. A love theme, the love of Paul for Shani. I wanted something that will be heartbreaking and the most beautiful love theme ever written. And honestly, I think he did it.
Ta-da! By hitting those a little harder, some of those, it's like she's telling a story. It's like she's...
I'm being too gentle?
Yeah, tell me more of a story.
Okay.
For me, the romance is atypical, but it was always going to be the heart of the story, of this movie.
Look, right there, Spice. Arrakis is so beautiful when the sun is low.
Chani shows him how to love this barren planet. I originally wrote the theme for her and then let it spread, like bleed across into Paul and then let that bleed across into the planet.
When I listened to it, I was in tears. I said, Hans, I think it's maybe one of the best things you've written. He said, you think so? I said, yes, I think so. He said, me too.
If we were to do it with an orchestra, it would actually destroy the intimacy. It's a really good group. I never understood why a film set on some strange planet in the future should use a normal, romantic, Middle European orchestra. You know, why am I suddenly hearing violins? So we started building instruments, and we started designing instruments. Guillaume, Christophe, and Ed Egan, Canadian genius designer, spent 10 years building these beautiful instruments out of wood with a lot of electronics inside.
We have all these resonators. So there are two wooden ones, the big pyramid.
And we basically have the ability to take any one of our setups from either my setup or Guillaume's setup or Christophe's, whatever we're playing, We can print these things separately, but we can also feed it selectively into the resonators, which is great flexibility, and we can react to this acoustic sound that's coming back from the resonators.
It gives new kind of sounds that you never heard before, and that when you hear it, you don't know if it's going from the future, that you don't know exactly what kind of instrument is it. So the pitch is continuum, the volume is continuous. You have the osmos, so you have two of them. On the osmos is that whenever you start pressing a note, you get the first sound, and you can vibrate the sound and have the pressure being under control all the time.
When you play a note on a piano, basically it goes plonk, right? Plonk, and it dies out. What they've done is when you touch the keyboard, it knows you're already touching the keyboard. Like within that travel of that key, the sound can change completely. And then, of course, the one thing every keyboard player wants to do is what a violinist can do or guitarist can do is have vibrato. So you can go and wobble your keys left to right. And you literally can transform a sound completely.
You know, certainly hearing the textures that were in Dune 1, very inspirational. And it's like that movie just resonated for us. And it was like saying, yeah, this is like the environment that we love living in. So it's just a beautiful, beautiful score, and it's amazing to be able to start contribute our kind of vision to this acoustic world.
I'm Tony now, with the pencil. Like a saxophone
He
thing
stole this from a ghost.
that I made. No, this is from an oryx.
Okay.
An oryx horn.
Hans is restless instrumentally. You know, Pedro, who plays the duduk, he's also very, keen on going to Home Depot and buying a load of plastic tubing and somehow putting a reed on it and making a sound.
I call it a PVC-based K Bansuri. I can sleep tonight.
Oh, Pedro. We got Pedro from Venezuela. You know, with all this technology going on, you need somebody who can play with this enormous heart that he has. It's just music flows from him. I wrote the notes, but the notes are only, for me, a tiny part of the journey. The notes need to be dressed up, so they need to have sound. What you have is good, and you can go and humanize them.
That's what I'm thinking, yeah. Because they're so low, it needs a little edge on top.
Yeah. You know, I can throw an idea out there, and then somebody else puts another idea on top.
Let's do another round with four. So that one we could just say was a little bit louder, the mezzo piano, and this one let's go for even sound.
This is my friend Trina. She is my muse. We have done a lot of things together. The team that surrounds me, we speak the same language. Denis and Joe are part of the band.
The thing I love about Joe is that he works as much on sound that he works on the images. And there's a whole structure that we work together on the structure of sound.
How much do you have to adjust things when I send it? I mean, how much do I get you into trouble? Because I have a feeling you and I are very...
I think we're in sync rhythmically.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's kind of like...
we could easily be in the same band playing the drums, you know, because our sense of storytelling.
You have to, in this film, not only convey very convincing battle scenes, but also weird interior life that the Bene Gesserit have developed and that Spice brings along in the characters. So, you know, there's such an opportunity to experience the sound.
That map is used at this time by a new artist that I'm working for the first time. Richard King came on board and had Doug Hempel and Ron Bartlett bring the sound to life.
Denis wants the world of Dune to be very visceral and tactile and recognizable as real. Documentary was the word that he used. He wanted really for the audience to have the feeling that all of this sound was recorded the day that the shots were taken.
The phrase I use is like a camera person will rack focus to show you what they want you to be looking at, and we do the same with sound. It's the same principle. You don't want an audience to choose between 10,000 sounds. You want to focus in on what you'd like them to hear for story and emotion.
The worm is much more of a feature and is featured a lot more in this film, and so we needed to create the sound of the worm riding along the surface and the velocity of the worm and the friction of the worm on the ground.
Well, when Paul rides the worm the first time, he gets the grandfather of all worms, and we had to make it sound like that.
There's 50 tons of meat traveling along the ground at 50 miles an hour. So there were so many challenges. We did a lot of recording in the desert, dragging large objects across sand and gravel, and then utilizing pitch shifters and simple kind of analog tools like that to alter the sounds.
It's a real handoff moment where it's this massive worm. And Paul's voice is so tiny because if you make him large or loud, it makes the worm sound smaller, so you go the other way. The worm's huge. You can barely hear Paul like yelling or doing anything, any efforts. But when you get to the music, that's when it's like, ta-da! You know, he's gonna really take off and ride this giant worm. And it's just very heroic and gives you goosebumps.
Richard's sound is spectacular and phenomenal. So I quietly have to find it's not quite fighting a battle. It's outwitting him, you know? It's like figuring out, okay, hang on. I know that Richard will just have appropriated the whole top end of the audio spectrum. So I better find something sort of in the middle to sneak in, you know? This is the score done by the band.
Well, it's by you, played by the band.
This is a score done by the band. Don't argue with me.